Good day, people, and welcome to podcast episode 9. I got it right this week. I got it wrong last week. Well, last podcast I got it wrong, but I got it right this week. Today's guest is Geocym.
Hello.
Absolute gem. Um, these podcasts are streamed live on Twitch, so if you do want to hop in, you can follow me at twitch.tv/Terry Darts. Best way to know about the guests and future podcasts and any future streams is to follow me on Twitter. So twitter.com/Terry Darts. All links for that will be below. But most important question, Gio, how are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, T. How's yourself?
I'm good. I am a little bit nervous, like always with these podcasts.
Don't be nervous for me. There's no point. There's really no point for me.
I know I said same about life though as well, and I was nervous for life. But then again, that's a different type of nervous. As with
Are
like
you
you've
calling life
got,
unpredictable?
are you saying he's not?
No comment. No comment at all.
Um, but no, I'm I'm glad you've agreed to come on. To be honest, I'm looking forward to everybody get to know you a little more because it'd be fair to say you're not the most frequent streamer.
No. Maybe once a month. I got quite a lot like going on at the time, so I'm hoping to change that soon. I'm get a bit more regular and stuff, but I've had a lot on my plate last couple of months. So work wise and
Mm.
to get my house sorted and shit. So
I mean,
yes.
anytime you do stream, it's always a blast. Um, well, I always have fun,
Well,
and you
I mean,
stream a lot of different things as well.
I do. Yeah.
You can do coding, or you can do that game you do with Twitch integration, and I forgot the name of it.
Noita.
That's the one.
Hmm.
And you do VR as well.
I do
I've
some
seen you.
VR. Yeah. I've done some Beat Saber and 6-inch Shield. That was so an experience. Only broke my ankle a couple of times, but
Yeah. I mean, if you haven't broke your ankle playing Beat Saber, have you really played Beat Saber?
well, I suppose no.
But
High life.
speak of the devil.
The devil. Oh, you're being called right out there, life. Jesus Christ.
Oh god,
TD's got no quarter for you.
I know. I had his back early. It's fine. He had his back early. It's fine. But we had to back down. We had to back down. Um, See, this is what happens. I end up running into a question, then I read chat, and I lose my whole train of thought.
Just do better, TD.
I
That's
know.
all
I've
you
got to
got to
do
do.
better. I've got to do better. Um, but yeah. So anyone who would like to catch your streams, they would be normally be evening based, so UK time. So as you can see, here's my time above
Hmm.
me, and you
Yeah.
see Geo's time above. Well then, um, Geo's in the same time zone as me, so
Oh dear. You're being watched
I
now.
know well being watched. I mean, I had to get my own pizza, so
Oh, it's a hard life.
I
It's a
know,
hard life. Getting your own pizza.
I know. But yeah, so evening time, so evening UK time, so 8 o'clock now. So work from that as you will. But yeah, Geo streams always enjoyable and well recommended by oh, everybody. So let's roll on to the first question because we're dying to know what the first Geo streams like. So why do you start streaming? All that jazz.
Okay. Um. Well, the I first started getting into streaming at all because I have a friend who was trying to get into streaming. She was trying to stream like Breath of the Wild. So I started following her mainly because it was an easy way to be able to talk to her because we never get to speak. And so I would watch her streams for a while. For a while, we would chat on there, and then we thought, well, actually, this is I want to try this. I want to try getting into this. and while I was watching them, I uh, got into a few other streams. I saw Krindash play Beat Saber, and I got absolutely like hooked on Beat Saber streams. And then from that, I met Life and started hanging out in his chat a lot. And I figured I'm gonna try this myself. Um, and my PC then was an absolute potato. It was literally 11 or 12 years old. Um, so I couldn't really stream from that. So I had a laptop that was 8 years old. So I streamed from that instead. Um, and I streamed like 25, 30-year-old games, like retro stuff, because that was basically all the laptop could handle. Um, and I think the most like the most modern game I was able to sort of play at that point was the Brotherhood of Max, which is like a platforming game, and you kind of accidentally banish your little brother to hell at the start of the game, and then you're like, shit, Mum's gonna kill me. I've got to go get him back. You got to go through this whole world to try and rescue your brother, and like Life started watching it, and I got like right up to near the end of the level, the end of the game, and there's this whole section where you've got to like dodge a like lava wave coming out, and it's just demolishing the whole place. And I think that was the very first time I got paid for anything on stream, because Life ended up sending me like £5 or £10 or something on a donation, and I like completely just lost my shit. I was like, what? Why are you paying for this garbage? But that was cool. Um, so and from there, I just kind of I started. I was building my PC up a bit and getting some like newer hardware in. Um, I still wasn't able to do like VR because the PC was ridiculous. Um, but thanks to a few very kind donations from um, like Scottish Missy, and she managed to give me like the graphics card I've got now, because she was I was hanging out in what's his name, he's gonna kill me, Melon. I can't it's not I can't remember what his that's gonna bug me now. um I was hanging out in streams all the time, basically after work, just watching them for hours play Beat Saber, and um, then they got the Scotch Missy got an upgrade for their PC, and were like, well, do you want my graphics card? I'm like, if you really want, what do you want for it? Nothing. Okay, yeah, cool. Send them in, and I got the graphics card I got now. It was then powerful enough to do VR, just about, if I turned all the settings down. Found myself a Vive headset. Um, and got into Synth Riders, and was absolutely like hooked from then. I started doing like 6, 7, 8 hour streams um in Synth Riders, and my god, is that a workout. But I was streaming from a little shoebox of a room. It was kind of 2/3 of the size of this room, so I could like touch the walls with both fingers. Kind of had to play like this. At one point, I think I was literally standing inside a cardboard box to stop me wandering around the room, because yeah, it was very tiny. I multiple times I had like bashed things off walls and off shelves and stuff. It was a mess. Um, and yeah, so when we moved here just over 2 years ago, um, it was a bit of a game changer, really, because it's not much bigger. It's only like half a meter bigger in each direction. But I mean, when you're playing VR, that is a
A lot.
lot.
Mm.
Um, and I've been able to do like Beat Saber streams since then, and I've never had a green screen. I'd love to do like a mixed reality setup, but I haven't had the money or the space. I kind of need to use this room for other things, because it's also my office, and like for work, I work from home all the time, and there's obviously the laundry room. So it always gets used up with extra stuff, which is one of the reasons that my like streaming's gone down a bit. It's because like the home life has kind of had to take a priority. Um, and then there's been like mental health stuff and work stuff that's kind of got in the way of my streaming. But as I said, I'm trying to get like back into that now. So hopefully that will I'll come back. So I've loved the particularly the VR community as well. The Twitch community generally, a lot of them are great. But the Fever community, the VR community, is probably the reason that I stayed on Twitch in the first place, because just hanging out with those guys is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's odd. As someone who's new to, who's recently only just done a few Synth scene, so doing 8 hours, I can imagine that is an absolute slog.
It was.
I,
Yeah, I took like a 6 months off doing VR, and then I just went back and tried to do it. And I was like, I couldn't last 3 hours. It was, how did I do six in the first place?
mean, I'm
Uh,
keeled off after two
but
songs. I
yeah.
played 2 songs. I'm keeled off. I'm like,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you just got Beat Saber, haven't you? So you're brand new to it.
yeah, Beat Saber and Synth Riders. I did a Synth Riders stream about a week ago, and I've had a few tech issues, as you know. Because are you a stream if you don't have tech issues?
Uh,
Um,
Are you with VR stream if you haven't done tech issues? It's like tech issues from streaming and tech issues from VR, and you've got to. And there's 10% worth of like good content in the middle.
it's just, I just need to press all the right buttons in the right order. Got it's like that old Morecambe and Wise sketch. I'm playing all the right notes, just
All the
not
right
necessarily
notes.
not in the right order.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Not necessarily in the right order.
That's what it's like, and that's why I'm screwing up. I'm not
Hmm.
doing it in the right order.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can imagine when you said you having like a 10-year-old PC and an 8-year-old laptop. I can't imagine there being much difference, in it's just,
No, there wasn't. There really wasn't.
it can't
Just
be much better,
performance.
really, even though it's like 2 years newer. It can't be much better because
Mm.
I know people
The,
who do stream from laptops. They say there is a lot of limitation unless you have a really
the performance was reasonable. The laptop itself was um it used to be like a workstation laptop, so it actually had a discrete graphics card in it, so you could kind of make it do performance. The downside of that was it would definitely give you second degree burns, because it ran at like 93 degrees C. It was insane. And if you obviously touch that, it got very, very uncomfortable. So,
I can
but yeah,
imagine.
a 8-year-old laptop is not an ideal way of streaming, but it worked. I mean, it got me on the platform.
I started streaming on something even older, and I was like, no, I need to buy a new PC, and I bought a full new PC at that point. Luckily, I was working, I had savings, and I thought, oh, young enough, I was living at home. Thought, fuck it, I'm buying a new PC, and I did. But yeah, I can imagine the when you said about the tiny room as well. I can imagine you doing it, and then you hit something, and it giving you the fright of your life. Because
Oh yeah.
obviously, obviously anyone who's not one VR, it completely distances you from reality because you can't see anything.
Mm,
So you have no spatial awareness then. All your spatial awareness is gone.
yeah.
So I can stand like that and wave my arms around and not touch anything. Play 3 or 4 songs, and then all of a sudden I put my arm out at the tiniest little bit, and all of a sudden I'm like, what the fuck's this here? Because somehow I've taken these little steps, but I've not noticed I've taken these little steps
Hmm.
or done something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm in the process of moving things as well. I've moved a clothes rail where I had all my football shirts. I'm going to move a set of drawers behind me so that I can just whack everything there and have this nice big open space because I cannot deal with the heart attacks. My heart rate's already inflated because I'm doing some sort of like exercise,
Hmm.
but yeah, I can't can't do with the exercise of me putting my arm out and me. It don't even. I put my arm out and I feel like what I used to feel like the shirt rack. So you can imagine a shirt rack with like football shirts on. So it says it don't hurt, don't do no, but because it tickles, it gives me the almighty fright. I'm like, oh my god, what's that?
Oh, there is some clips. There is some clips on my channel of that where like my wife has come in while I've been in VR and I've not noticed, and then she's just gone like, touch. I'm like, ah, fuck, shit. Yeah, more than once actually. Some of the times I'm not even in VR, and that's even worse.
um, I,
Like, how
I
have I not noticed you?
I remember doing when I first got VR and I was setting bits up. I was playing this like shooting game. And I'm like, oh, I can sit down playing it, and I sat down playing it, shooting, and I end up just forgetting where I want to twisting, and at the corner of my deck, I really hit my finger, and it was like literally when I did it, it was gushing blood,
Mm.
and I was like, oh my god, I've broken my finger. I mean, I was that dramatic about it. I'm like, my finger's broken. I can't do VR. My finger's broken. I've broken my finger. I hadn't. I just
No,
grazed it.
of course. But the worst bit about that is not that you've broken your finger, but how do you explain it to the hospital when you go, oh, what did you do? Well, I punched a wall playing a video game. I'm sorry.
I was shooting spiders and I turned.
Yeah, yeah. I saw a 14-foot spider and I got scared. Everyone drug tests.
And that's one thing is as well. You can't hear now either as well, so you don't hear people coming because
Hmm.
the sound's quite. Even though my sound's coming from my speakers, it's still quite thingy. So I have to like properly jam my door shut. So if someone's come in, I'm gonna hear them come in
Hmm.
and everything like that. But yeah. But I think we've all been there where we've been frightened by something or someone in VR
Oh, I'm sure.
because
I'm sure.
it's just one of them things, isn't it? It's just so, and
I
it's
tell
hard
you
to
what,
explain to people that haven't done VR what it's like being in VR. I think.
one of the scariest experiences I had in my life was I got a mod to play Dead Space 2 in VR. Scariest 5 minutes of my life. Don't try. I saw one zombie and it was done.
This is why you have to give credit to streamers like Nina, who openly plays horror games in VR.
Mhm.
Like she'll, her and Kat will just play. Oh yeah, let's play Devour in VR. Like, are you crazy? Like
Why
you
not?
just. I mean, honestly, I don't think I'd sleep for a week if I played something like that.
I don't mind a scary game if I know I'm going into it as a scary game, but yeah, Dead Space 2 was never designed for that. It was always designed to be kind of, it's scary, but it's on a flat box in front of you. As soon as it's like all around you, mm.
I think I'd be the same like that. And I know there's mods that you can do like Valheim in VR.
Hmm.
Now I love VR, but there's times that Valheim makes me jump on being like pancake. So I'm thinking if it's gonna be in thing you just turning and seeing like a fueling or something like that, I'm gonna lose my shit to play that in VR. Like
It'd be good to see though. I'd pay for that clip.
I would lose my shit. And I make jokes about people who play horror games, but I've never really played a horror game on stream. But I can be jumped from my welcome message. My welcome ding sound can make me jump, and that's why I don't. But yeah, so that's Geo's first streams. But like I say, you have got all your upgrades now, and I won't say all your upgrades because I don't think anyone's ever a point where I'm fully upgraded.
Oh, I certainly
But
not go all the way upgrades. No, but I mean, this is now my third PC since I started streaming, and basically the only reason that that I'm still have a computer at all is because of the generosity of the community. Because my computer exploded, um, and took out my hard drive and my SSDs with it. So like, I was literally donated like hardware. I've paid for maybe half this PC. It's The rest of it is given to me from people on Twitch,
was
and I
that
don't.
sorry? Was that after like SB? Because I think I remember some that happening to someone, but I can't remember if that were you or someone else. But like Did I know you when that all that happened? That yeah, PC dropped.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was within the last 2 years. So yeah,
Yeah, which
I
must
guess
have been then.
you would have known.
But yeah, it's good that there is a community there. And actually, my experience with the VR community, and especially because somewhat the streamerbot community is like a branch off the Fever community in a sense, because a lot of the,
I guess we kind of parented it. Yeah.
you know, I felt like I found my place within that community. Even it is a good community, so I can see why it would be attractive to people. I think I'm making a point here. I think I'm making a point.
I
I think
see.
I'm
I see,
making.
I see where you're going with that. Yeah.
I think I'm trying to make a point. I'm just explaining what I'm saying. It's a
So
nice community. It's a nice.
yeah. Yeah, block
Um.
the links here now, but there you go. Fever,
Yeah.
fever.video.
We'll put Fever link in the description. I'll remember to do that. I'll remember to actually this. I'll remember to do it then. So, did you have any bots
Actually, what?
before?
Did I have any what? Sorry, bots
Bots
before?
before Streambot?
Yeah, I kind of did. Um, when I mean, yeah, I watched Life playing Beat Saber and stuff. I know that he used to use the what became SLCB. Um, and he was showing off some of the things that Nate was developing for the streamerbot, that then known as channel point handler. And at the time, it did some very basic things. It was not much at all. You could like flip a source around, and I think maybe send some chat messages. I think that was about it. It didn't really do a whole lot. Um, I've still got like the original like beta versions, if you're interested for like archive purposes, but you can see how much it's come on from like the extremely basic program that it was. I mean, extremely like technical. I couldn't be able to do it myself. It was a great piece of software, but it had a very narrow feature set. Um, and because of that, I was kind of looking for, okay, how can I make my stream more interesting? And I think I found Nutty and I found Andy Lippy. Um, Actually, I think, was it? And I know Life kind of introduced me to Andy Lippy, I think, but I kind of seen him on YouTube before that, and Nutty certainly that he had a lot of videos on what was then how's it called? It's Leon Bud, version 1,
Yeah.
the first one, and I did spend some time trying to convince Life that Lure on Board was the way to go, and that you should get onto Lure on Board. You can do all these amazing things. Um, and Life wasn't really having any of it. He was like, no, no, this will work, and Nate's got this stuff, and it'll do. We can make it like everything I can do. We can put it in this, and it will be amazing. Um, I put some things into Leo on board for a while, for a few months, and then Channel Point Handler really did start getting like a lot of extra features. Don't do it though. I won't send you news. Okay. Um, the uh, yeah, Nate started putting a lot of features into Channel Point Handler, and you could see like the rate that it was growing at, and even when it was in like kind of closed private beta, you had to go through Life to get permission to install it, and then you weren't like you weren't exactly NDA'd, but you weren't allowed to distribute it, and you couldn't like it didn't have the community behind it that it does now. It was literally like tens to hundreds of 10 to 100 people max, that had the software. Um, and I started seeing like, okay, actually, this could very easily take over basically everything that the Auron board could do. Um, the only thing that I think I was missing at the start was like the move actions, which then very soon after that the move transition came out, which kind of negated the need for it. So then I completely abandoned Leora board at that point. I didn't really look back because streamerbot it did more. It used 10 times less computer resources. It used less RAM. It used less CPU than the Auron board ever did by an order of magnitude. It was down from like 1 point something percent of my CPU, or that I think at worst it was like 4% of my CPU was on Leuron board. And when I'm on potato hardware that's 8 years old, you kind of needed everything you could get. So I switched to streamerbot kind of out of necessity because streamerbot used like 0.1%, even when it was hammered, because it's just extremely well written, and then it's just gone from strength to strength. So it's now does multiple times and what it used to do, and it still doesn't use any more CPU. It still doesn't use any RAM. So it's kind of a no-brainer. It ticks every box that I would need technically. Um, the resource usage 100%. So I switched from LB Sammy. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly, Ellie. It's I wanted to run VR, and I needed every single like ounce of processing power I could get out of my machine. I was on literally the minimum spec. I was at the time I was running a Intel 6600K and a GTX 1063 gig, um, with like 8 or 16 gig of RAM or something. It was a very bare bones. It will just about run VR and OBS at the same time if I tweak everything kind of system. So I couldn't have Discord open, for example. I had to close every single application to run it to be able to stream it. Um, so I needed StreamerBot because I needed to be able to run channel points. Because obviously no access to a keyboard, no access to a thing. I needed something to run channel points, or it wouldn't do anything. I could barely even run stream elements for alerts, let alone anything else. Um, and that's what it was literally like 6 months with Leo on board, and then straight into StreamBot, and then it's been StreamBot ever since.
Yeah. I mean, I've spoken about it, but I use the SLCB because I went through a phase of just switching bots.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think I started off with the cloud version of Streamlabs, and then I went
Sure.
to Stream Elements, and I went to Nightbot, and then I used Wisebot, and then I used MooBot. Because as I said before, they're all good, but they didn't all do everything.
True.
Even
Yeah.
the point of like, the quote system was better in one than it was in other. Currency systems were better in one than they were in other, and you're thinking, well, why aren't they one that does everything?
Mm.
And then I tried the chatbot, and that kind of did it. But again, make customizing things became really difficult, and that's when I found Leo on board. And I mean, I made loads of things Leo on board. Um, but then I got a sniff of StreamerBot. Obviously, I was when it was public, but I got it the first week it became public, and I've generally used it ever since. Anytime I've streamed, I've always, pardon me, I've always been StreamerBot since thinking because it just worked better for my mind and how it will lay down and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't really notice the resource usage, but I know that people have said that before. But there was a point when, because as I said before, there was a point of Streamer becoming public and Leon Board 2, what was Leon Board 2 at the time, coming out. And for me, they were quite, I can't remember which were first or which were, but they were quite close.
It was us first. Um, it was us first, and then Leon on Board 2 was a couple of months afterwards, and Atom was around the same time as well. But it was either way. It was StreamBot was the first one.
Yeah. I always think it's Streamer first because that was like the Augusty time, wasn't it? If I remember
Yeah, it was
rightly.
about August. Yeah.
Um, and then because I remember I distinctly remember Andy doing that week worth of streams before it became public, where
Mm-hmm.
he was showing it off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I remember that, and I think that's when obviously I found you and I followed you. And
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
I remember, isn't your birthday around that time? Didn't you do a
Um.
birthday stream around that time?
Yeah, my birthday's in October, so it wasn't long after the launch of SB1.
Yeah. But like I say, I just weird that the things you remember. I remember Andy raiding you because you were doing a birthday stream,
Oh yeah, yeah,
and you were
yeah.
playing Hades. And why I remember that, I don't know. I just do. But I think that's probably the first time I ever in one of your streams, to be honest.
How
But
how to play Hades badly.
yeah,
Well done.
but we don't come to you for the good gameplay.
Excuse you.
Shh. There you go. That's me
All right,
banned.
I
That's me
asked for that.
banned
I asked
now.
for that. I
That's
should
me
be nice to the
banned.
host. All right. Okay.
So
Noted.
if you don't see me in a Geo stream, it's because I've been banned. We all know now. And if we ask
Yeeted
why
from
I've
the
been
entire Discord.
banned, we know why.
Mm.
Because I open my mouth. But yeah, I gave LB2, what was LB2 at the time, a go.
Mhm.
Obviously, what's now Sammy, and it just didn't click with me the same way streamerbot did. And because I could do things in streamerbot and I could plan things out and you could see things so much nicer, like
Mhm.
I think we spoke about in the Waldo podcast, when you're doing OBS Raw, being able to see everything you're writing in OBS Raw rather than just having this one text box of line, for me just made doing Raw easier. Even though now I hate Raw and I never touch Raw, but it's nice that you've seen. Obviously, me being public, I've seen SB grow to where
Mhm.
it is now, but you've seen it from a really early age and
Oh
seen
yeah,
it grow. So it's
about a
that's
year
quite
more than everyone else. Yeah.
yeah, that's quite nice that you. It's been, it must have been a hell of a journey.
Yeah. It has.
But that kind of, so you used Leonboard for a little bit, and you actually say you ever used the chatbot, the Streamlabs chatbot?
I didn't ever use SLCB. I used the Stream Elements online one. Um, I did. I don't think I ever did a stream with it, but I did look at Mix It Up briefly, mainly to just poke around and okay, what features does it have? Um, and that's an absolute mess. I couldn't get my head around. Couldn't get my head around Mix It Up at all. Um, and I've not used it, but I've seen like the kind of development process from Atom as well. So I'm kind of aware of like the different bots and different feature sets that are out there, and that's I suppose kind of useful because if you're gonna kind of promote the best bot, then you kind of got to know what the competition is, and you can kind of feed ideas back and see what works and what doesn't, and how could we do it better. So I have kept my ear in on what different bots are, but yeah,
I
by
mean,
far and away, stream bots have been the way for me.
yeah, there is a lot of bots out there, and
Hmm.
I'm always quite publicly open about how I say things. So, you know what, if you're going to use a bot, yeah, Streambot's a great thing, and it's the one I use, and it's the one I'll promote the most. But if you, I'll always say, you know, Sam is a good option as well if that's what you want,
Hmm.
and Mix Up's a good option if that's what you want. The three good free options, but I will always promote SB first because I think that is the best option. But if the feature set is enough and Mix It Up, then you know that's the way I kind of.
Yeah, I mean, there's I Sammy, I think can technically do some things that Streambot can't. So can Mix It Up. It's got more inputs and stuff, and more, and it's only got the overlay system built into it. But because everything else is worse, the I think that Streambot is the most well-rounded.
Yeah, I mean I know people that use like, I mean I say there's people that do switch from Mix It Up to Streamerbot,
Hmm.
and there's people that do all this, but I know people that said looked at Streamerbot and gone, no, that's not for me. Then they say, oh yeah, I use Mix Up now. It's like fair enough, you know.
It's an odd
Yeah.
choice, but I suppose, yeah, sure.
I mean, for me, I've always had the like sort of man. If it works for you, it works for you. Just
Mm. Oh yeah, yeah, of
and
course.
I
Yeah.
think that's where it is with the bots. I
Well,
w- I
go
want
on.
to say I won't ever say for me, this is me personally. I won't ever say pay for the bots, but because there's good free options out there, I won't ever promote a paid option. But that's me. I mean,
Well, whenever I see other bots come up in other people's chats, I'm always quite I try to be very diplomatic about it, and I was like, I'm not going to shit on something else because, as you said, it's going to be right for the person. They will have a specific reason why they want to use that, but either it's the interface looks like clicks with their brain, it'll be that that it does a specific interfacing with, I don't know, MIDI systems or something. There'll be something that they use it for, that bot does very well for that person, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing wrong with these multiple bots either. I mean, just so and why if there's no reason to just not be nice to people. So I've even been talking to the developers of other bots, and been perfectly fine about it. We can talk about the different features and the different programs that we have, and just be civil about it. There's no reason not to be. Um, so yeah, but and I think that's probably one of the reasons that like Streambot itself has an excellent community behind it, because everyone's actually very friendly. And it's the communities that make these applications work. It's not necessarily just the developer. It's
no,
the people that use them and the people that help the other people that can't, that are learning. And that, from a Streambot, has far and away the most supportive community I've ever seen.
yeah, yeah. It was a really good community. And like I say, I like to think of myself as part of that community, and a big part. I like to think of myself as a big part of that community because I do a lot. I do a lot of work, but yeah, I mean, people are gonna do what they want to do, and you can never. Like I said, I know I said that I would never promote a I would only promote the free versions, but I'll still never shit on anyone for if they want to use the paid version. And I think that I had that. I think
Well,
people
I'd
are gonna
say
do what people do what works for them.
yeah, exactly. If they're paying for something, then it's worth it for them, because it's if they pay whatever it is, £12, £4,
Mm.
um, what you've got to weigh that up against. Okay, if they didn't have that, what would they lose? And it'd be I reckon it'd be way more than that, because their viewership would be down. They wouldn't be able to good a quality stream. They've got that for a specific reason, and paying for something for a specific reason is no problem.
And like I say, when you work it out, it's a Twitch sub in it. So
Yeah, yeah, it's a
it's
Twitch
not
one.
the end of the world. Anyway, my little personal rant over. This is what we do. We rant, or I rant. Um,
TD putting the world to rights.
I
Why
know
not?
we've kind of touched on this. We have kind of touched on this a few times, but obviously you caught a very early version of streamerbot.
I did. Yeah.
So and so the question is, when you first opened it, what were them first thoughts? Because at this point you were well into what I assume well into Leon Bot, thinking, look, Leon Bot's good. You can do what I need it to do.
Yeah. Um. My first impressions of Streambot were that it was a bit limited for what I needed it to do. Um. I couldn't really I couldn't really do all the things I needed to do with it. Um. At one point, I was running both at the same time, because I could use Streambot for some things, and Leonboard for others. And that way I didn't have to get like too technical into how to build the complicated things, because you can build the complicated things kind of in Streambot, but again, very narrow focused. Um, and then eventually, Leorin board for me became more of a. It became more and more a a soundboard more than anything else. I use it to play fart noises and like it, and then I realized, actually, this is kind of a waste of time. I'm using like 3% of my CPU to run this all the time, and all I'm doing is clicking a thing to look a rim shot. Um, so it became less and less worth having. Um, so yeah, but my first impression of streamerbot was that it wasn't very strong. It was a basic app. It kind of had its place. It was useful for VR, but I wasn't doing VR at the time. Um, so it's like, okay, yes, you can react to it straight away, but so what? So can this, and this can do more. So I was more with Leo on board at the time. Um, but yeah, Nate, as you know, puts out updates to streamerbot so quite quickly. Like the change logs are 4 pages long, and he's done that in the space of a month or something. And like the rate that he adds things to that application is insane. So it very quickly won me over.
And also, you're like me, so because you're at UK time, you can go to bed, then wake up in the morning, and you got 4 new alphas.
11.
You can like
11 was my record. Yeah,
like
I literally went to bed at about about like 10 11 p.m. Woke up at 8, and there was 11 alphas sitting in my inbox. I'm like, the shit did you do overnight? What?
And thing is, I've really and they haven't been like, oh, I've just fixed. I mean, sometimes yeah, oh, I just fixed a small little typo or something like that. But sometimes it's like, oh, I've added this feature, and then you look in, I've added this feature, and I think I'm like, you've added the full blown features here in these 3 different alphas. Like, how you done it? But so obviously, you first what you, how many like different versions of bots were you in before you thought this is something I'm going to be using all the time?
I'm not really sure how to answer that question. What you mean like how many versions had I downloaded?
Like because you said there was a point when you started using Leo on board just as a soundboard. You know
Yeah.
how much before you said, you know what, I'm sacking off Leo on board. Streambot's the way to go. Because there must have been a point when you first got Streambot, you said, okay, Streambot can do this, and I'll use Leo on board for this. And then there must have been a point where you went, you know what, I'm sacking off Leo on board. I'm going to go straight to Streamerbot. If you know what I'm saying. When was that point? How long had you been using Streamerbot before you said, this is my bot, and we're using all the time?
Few months, I guess. Um, I kept Leo on board around for a while. I mean, so I was using it for maybe 3 to 6 months before, and then I kind of had both of them running at the same time, so another 3 4 months. Um, I say it was still in closed beta at the time. I think I was on version 0.047, I think was when I started using it, and it was on 0053. By the time I started, it was like, no, this is amazing. I like way before the public one was out. It was already rock solid, and um, I knew that it was going to be the future basically. Um, so I'd had a good solid year um, using streamerbot before it became public, and it as I say it was already so much better than I could than you could do with it, and I think Nate had already put like C# code in there before the public release. Um, and it was that gave me the confidence to go to nutty with it. Like me, a complete nobody streamer who streams to 3 people. Um, I was on Nutty's Discord, and I was like, "This is coming out. Keep an eye on it. It's literally it's like it's going to be coming out in days. Watch for it." And then as soon as it came out, I posted the download link to it. He I don't think he said anything at the time. Um, but it was like Andy Lippy. We kind of like Life had like kind of recruited him to do like the big week's worth of launch and just do loads of videos for our launch date. And his exclusive access to the first release of it and stuff. And whilst he was doing that, I think a week or 2 weeks later, Nutty was like on stream with it, saying like telling everyone this is the future. I am going to abandon um, Leon board for this because this is just insane. He knew within 30 seconds that the power of the tool. I think purely because of like the C# code that's in it. And I think that's probably what what like kickstarted our like the whole snowball, because between the two of them, them both saying, "Oh, you need to get on this," everyone did. But yeah,
Yeah.
I saw the potential very early on. Like every time Nate would release a new feature, and I'd be sitting watching live stream, and life would be like, "Oh yeah, Nate's put this in. That's cool. I'm not really sure what I could use it for." I could instantly say no. You could you could switch cameras with that. You could do different angles in VR with it. You could send commands across. You could have someone redeem channel points and like change your lighting or something. And the conversation was always the same. It's like, what? Can't do that. No. And it's like, yeah, you can. Just this way. Write it. And like a day later, we had we had like the community was writing the feature for it, and then eventually Nate built it like as a proper UI for it and things. So it evolved very quickly that way, because Nate wrote such a good framework in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I saw when because I got the first public version, and at this point, I didn't know any C sharp. So the C sharp was like, oh, the C sharp's good, it's okay, but for me, it was, let's say, the flow of logic and stuff like that. I could
Hmm.
literally show how I want my flow of logic to work, and I think that's what it was. And if it weren't for Andy Lippy, I wouldn't be using streamerbot either, because obviously I remember that week launch and stuff like that. Um, but yeah, I think I decided early on, like a short period of time of using it, that yeah, it is the bot to use. It's gonna be the bot to use. And I never even considered when people, people like ask for things like dark mode and stuff like that. I never even considered all like that. I said, you know, for me, it's like it's about what it can do, not how it looks, and that's what it was great. Yeah, I didn't care
Well,
that it didn't look like that.
it's funny you mentioned the timing thing actually, because that's one of the major um kind of usability features that I think, certainly for me, and I think for probably thousands of other streamerbot users, why it makes so much more sense than the Oran board. With the Oran board, when you're timing something, it's like an absolute time from the start of the event, the start of the action to the end of the action, and you have to kind of slot everything in along it. So if you build it and then you're tweaking and you want to retime everything, you've got to go through every single line and remove time off every single line. Whereas in streamerbot, you want to add a half-second gap in the middle, you just put one line in the middle and it just
Yeah,
shuffles it down. That by itself is A, way more logical, and B, saves so much time, like a ridiculous amount of time developing effects for it.
yeah,
Um, so that by itself was enough really for me to be like, yeah, okay, I'm doing it, because if my streaming time, my availability, my personal time, once I've done with work and my kid and spend time with my wife and stuff, is very limited, and I don't have time. I would literally have to choose. I could sit there for 3 hours and stream, or I could sit there for 3 hours and build stuff in the Oran board. I can't do both, so I can build stuff a lot faster in StreamerBot. So that made sense to me.
yeah. I mean, and again, I enjoyed building streamerbot and stuff like that. It just, like I say, it just made it just look better. Being able to see everything laid out properly, make edits easier. Um, if you were again, obviously, any at this point doing things, a lot of things were raw. So using raw were easier. As I said it very early on, just made things easier in Streambot. It was just easier.
Hmm.
Just little things like that were just easier. And yeah, I just couldn't get enough of it. I wanted to learn as much as I could.
Mm.
I mean, at that point, I was thinking, oh, I can kind of do what Andy Lippy does, do a few Leon board videos, do a few streamerbot videos, and just kind of, because I didn't really enjoy gaming on stream that much, and I I thought, just try. Sometimes people lurk and stuff and because I'm doing something like that, I can just kind of vocalize my thoughts a bit easier than when I'm sitting playing a game and vocalizing. I found that easier,
Sure.
but that's what. But the more I got into streamerbot, the more it was like, yeah, Leon board what?
Mm.
Without sounding offensive, that's what it felt like for me.
Hmm.
And I knew Leon board 2 were coming, and it was like, yeah, in my head, I said, I have to commit to one of them now. I can't do Leon board because Leon board 2's coming, or do streamerbot, and I stuck with streamerbot, and it's, I very rarely, I mean, there probably are people that moan about the streamerbot, but anyone who I personally recommended streamerbot to has always said, yeah, it's probably best advice I ever got.
Hmm.
You know, we had Meki on really early on, when it second podcast, so that he was using stream elements, and he was having some problems with it because it kept disconnecting because the cloud service. And so I said, just use streamerbot, and he used it, and he don't look back since. And now he recommend it to other people and just say, yeah, use streamerbot.
Well, that's the goal, isn't it? If you can get someone who you recommended to recommend it for you for someone else, then you've won. That's and it is true. There's been so many people in our Discord um, that has said, "Oh, you've got me interested in programming. You've taught me how to program." And it's not even the C sharp stuff. That's like just laying stuff out in the actions.
Yeah.
Um, it's like, yeah, we taught you by stealth. We win. Like, you didn't even know you wanted that tool. You didn't know you needed that, but we showed you that how fun it is to build it, and now you're hooked. Now you want to build more,
Yeah.
and it's the whole community pushes itself higher. It raises everybody up.
On the learning to code, it for me, it gave me the platform, the opportunity, and the environment to learn. So it's
Hmm.
really hard to say open up Visual Studio and say, all right, learn to code, because it just don't work that way, and read
Yeah.
it, because you're like, well,
No.
what do I code? But this give me a where I can say, all right, let me use C sharp to send a message to chat.
Yeah.
Simple, small. That will, and that's how when people say, "Oh, how do I learn C sharp?" Start small. Send a message to chat. I have an action that use C sharp. Send a message to chat,
Hmm.
and they'll go, "Oh, I could do it in Sebastian's." I know, but you're learning. Do it and into start small, then do something different, and then add a random number, and then do that. But it
Yeah.
also helps if you know
Hmm.
people like Waldo and Flad, and I think yourself actually. You've in the early days, I came to you.
Well, yeah, I face rolled my C sharp. All of my C sharp is self taught. I either learned it from um like CodePen, or I learned it from like just googling it, or Whipstick helped me on certain bits. Nate helped me with certain bits. But a lot of it was just face roll. And one of the one of the real good benefits of streamerbot is the instant feedback, is that you can build something, you can test it right there, and you can say, oh, it does the thing, or oh, it doesn't do the thing. Why doesn't it do the thing? And you can look in, and you can see immediately, oh, okay, because this variable needs to go in there, and it's very much like as you said with like Visual Studio or something. You've got to code it, and then you've got to compile it, and like, does it work or does it not? And if it doesn't work, why doesn't it work? You don't know really what the output is supposed to be. So it's kind of harder to kind of get into it that way. But Streambot's very kind of accommodating for that. It gives you the instant gratification for building something. You can see the result. You can talk about it with the community. Um, so yeah, I completely agree. It's very obvious to me why Streamerbot would be attractive for that.
Yeah, like I said, and now my knowledge is where it's at, and I think I enjoy doing the coding I'm doing and stuff like that. That's
Hmm.
all thanks to this bot. Just an environment, a situation, and it's just something to target towards and code what I needed to. Um, so this talking of things that you've coded, or maybe what have you built in Streambot? What things would you say? Oh, I built that. Because I know the things you have built. But like I
Things
say,
I've built. Hmm. Hmm. You do know everything I've built?
I don't know everything you built. I know a few things you built.
um. Yeah, I've built a few things. I wrote the um before we started integrating with Lumia Stream. I wrote some code to control my Lifex lights, like these above me. I wrote some code to control uh, Elgato, the Elgato light. And again, it's face roll code, but it works. It let me build a flashbang and stuff, which is hilarious to people to blind me. Um, what else have I built that's really cool? Um, I made I don't know if anyone remembers Strongbad, the Strongbad emails, but I built a widget that basically has like a dot matrix printer, and you could write messages on it, and it would like print them down the page. Um, that was quite fun to build. I built a inventory system. Um, that was actually commission work. I built that for Madcap, and he then used that as the basis to build his huge multiplayer raid off. Um, you can go into his stream at the moment, and the inventory system, you can say that you can buy like a hat that goes on your avatar. You can buy like a blunderbuss and a cutlass. You can buy like bottles of rum and stuff, and I coded all the inventory system for that. And the original point was that you could buy like flashbangs, and you could buy like jump scares and stuff, and you could like save them up. So you could buy them either with either bits or like currency, like channel points or whatever, and then save them up for another time. So like whenever when he's doing an actual horror stream or something, you can just like throw something off with it, and you could trade them. You could give them to other people. Um, so that was fun to build. It was he came to me with that question, like, can you build me an inventory system? I'm like, yeah, I can. And then he was expecting me to build like a little tiny inventory system, and I built a fucking huge one. And like he was, even now, like a year later, he's like, I didn't know that you built that feature. And I'm like, "Hmm, yeah, I figured it would be useful at some point, so I made it for you, and it's in there. You just didn't know about it." um, what are things about the things I'm building at the moment? Um, I wrote the interface code for the Pixel 64, the little GIF display that Life has. I've got one uh, gifted to me from Life as well. So I wrote interface system for that, um, and I'm currently revising that. I've literally I've started getting into the Godot game engine, and I've worked out how to make WebSockets talk bidirectional from Godot to streamerbot, which means that you can have streamerbot interfaces basically for any game that's written in Godot. And I'm using that at the moment to write my own overlay system so that I'm not relying on stream elements. Um, and I only stream elements out of laziness. I know a lot of my overlay is actually like locally hosted um, browser sources and talking to it through like completely through streamerbot. But there are certain things that I left in purely because of like the donation system and like the ability to do like bit buckets and stuff. But now that I've got the interface in Godot, I can actually interface that directly. And I'm currently writing um, a game, kind of like like Vlad's got his King of the Hill. Um, it's going to be like you can use channel points to enter the game, and it'll put your picture up, and then it'll be like a little brawl, and you'll roll dice to kind of hit each other and do damage and defend. So that's what I'm currently writing, and because I have no knowledge of how to do that with secure WebSockets directly into Twitch, I'm interfacing with streamerbot instead. And streamerbot's kind of handling the being the middleman in that. Um, so I'm finding that quite fun. It's something else to learn, and it's actually very easy to develop for. So yeah, I'm enjoying that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I remember you doing, if I remember rightly, you did the inventory system on stream, if I remember rightly. Or I vaguely remember you doing bits of it.
Yeah. I built bits of it on stream.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I remember that. One thing you did build, um, and it was before it was the Discord that were your code. You
yeah.
did the Discord.
I did bring the first kind of Discord WebSocket code that did like a very basic webhook post
Yeah.
to Discord before it got put in the UI. And then that very quickly got taken over by like Waldo and bigger brains than me, and
Did the embedded code
yeah
embeds?
I don't think they use any of my code to do it, but they took the same idea and expanded it massively. But I think I was the first one to do it. Like, and as I say, I don't really know any programming formally. I kind of just mash my face on the keyboard until it
And
works. So the
something,
fact that it worked at all was impressive.
yeah, something else of yours that I see gets shared a lot in the Discord a few times is
Oh
your
yeah.
walking thing you made.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
made a walking system where it would
yeah.
play.
My thinking my brain is smooth. um, the walking sounds. Yes, I really like the walking sounds. Um, that actually came off the back of something that I made for Sprinkles that I am not allowed to share because Sprinkles wants it exclusively for herself, which is perfectly fine. She was the first one to get it. It was a present in the first place. But I built her a death counter. She was playing games like Limbo and Little Nightmares and stuff at the time. Things where like you die a lot. So I built her a death counter um, that was the Count von Count from Sesame Street, and it would literally pop up with a thing. It would count the number of deaths that you've done in the Count's voice, and we got a voice actor to do like all numbers up to 100 or something. Um, and then it would randomly insult you as well. Sometimes it would laugh at you, or it, yeah, like bad sprinkles. She just absolutely lost her shit every time it went on. It was so funny. Um, and so on the back of that, I learned how to do like how to play random sounds from folder and how to make it like match to names and stuff. So I wrote the walk on sounds add-on, which is as you said, I think gets shared around quite a lot.
Yeah,
Um,
because people like that.
yeah, well, I like it because it's self-managing. Like everyone else was doing. There was a lot of people trying to make it do it at the time, and it was like it was if statements, if statement, if statement. Like if user equals Waldo, if user equals TD, if user equals Geocym, and it was an absolute mess. And I didn't like it, so I made it. I ripped it apart and made it into like 12 lines of C# code, and all you had to do was create a folder. You didn't have to know any programming. You just put this action in streamerbot, you create a folder, you put a file inside it, and everybody understood it. It was just it's just simple, and it's a way to personalize the stream not only for you, for the broadcaster, but also for everyone watching it as a regular. And they think that they find themselves part of it, and they get excited to come back to the stream and say, "Oh yeah, I want to hear my sound again." Um,
Yeah,
so yeah, that was fun to build. It was quite easy, but I'm glad that it's being shared around. I like
yeah,
that.
it's a very good take on something like it. Like I said, it's easy. You just create the folder, you put the sound in, and you do what we do. I mean, the instructions are quite well written, so you think obviously the instructions are with it.
Hmm.
I think they're actually copied and pasted from what you actually wrote as well, because they were quite well written. And it's weird actually. Not to like a thing, but it's the thing I'm working on at the moment. I recorded the video today. I didn't like it, so I'm going to re-record it. But a way that I do walk-ons is my next video to become, which is with C# and actions.
Cool. I
You
look forward
just
to seeing that.
you just create the action of the person you want to walk on, and it'll run the action when they come in. That's the
That's
pretty
very
much
cool.
the base of the code. But yeah, I recorded it today, didn't like it, didn't really look right, so that's just a side issue. But yeah, that's what I'm doing. But yeah, you did the walk-ons, and I'm sure you did one other thing, and it's escaping me. You did one other really cool thing, and I cannot for the life of me remember what it was.
I'm
I
sure
mean,
you'll come back to you if it's that good.
you introduced me to CodePen, so as well. So
Yeah,
you've
I
done a lot
mean,
of CodePen.
Copen's a great teaching tool.
So I have a lot
Good
of
to see what
stress.
other people have done as well.
I have a lot of stressful nights to blame you on.
If I'm going to cause you stress, I'm going to cause you stress either way. So it's funny to me. So
And anyone knows when you're going to a CodePen rabbit hole, you're down there for a few hours.
you can be. You can be in my hole for hours if you want. That's
Mm. Honestly, there's one other thing that I'm sure you built, and I just cannot remember it. You did the Discord, you did the lights,
hmm
you did the walk-ons. I'll show you one other thing.
Can't be that
Anyway,
good then.
no, it can't be that good.
I'm by no reason the best creator on here anyway. I'm one of the humble, like, I can just about manage it. I just happen to be one of the ones that was here first. That was it. There's people who's built a lot better stuff than I have. A lot.
Well, that does lead us on to our next question.
Oh,
So, community builds, because obviously we said the community's built so much. There is the extension site, which I have it somewhere. I don't.
yeah. I've long since lost count of everything that's been uploaded to that.
But yeah, there's so much on there. And so, what are the things that do stand out for you that you've seen get built?
Things that I've seen get built, that I think are ridiculously cool. Um, I mean, I would have to start with um the hype train system from One More Astronaut. He is an absolute genius building this system. Um, I can share you a link later if you want to add it
Yeah,
in.
I'll put it in
There's
description.
yeah, there's I mean specifically for the video.
Yeah,
Is he is a pinball streamer. He does he does pinball games all the time. He loves pinball games, and his favorite pinball game is the Adams Family. So he built, without using any C#, I might add, like entirely in the UI, he built a hype train notification system. Um, and first of all, he's got his normal notification system that's also in streamerbot. He's a pinball wizard. He is indeed. Yes. He's got his normal notification system that's run in streamerbot. But then as soon as it detects that a hype train has started, it sets a global variable. It turns off all of his normal notifications and turns on the hype train notifications, and then everything that you do from that point until the hype train ends is a pinball game. It's literally it brings down a scoreboard from the top one of those dot matrix displays. It's got animations playing through the dot matrix display. It shows your name when you sub or if you throw bits or something. It's got like it's like sounds going off from the game. You can hear like flipper noises and like Gomez Adams talking in the background. It's absolutely incredible. Um, and then as soon as the hype train ends, it goes like, oh, game over, and then the scoreboard goes away and it's back to normal notifications after that. And the fact that it's very very polished, and B, he built it completely unaided in streamerbot UI in a very early version of streamerbot UI. It's like version 1.1 or 1.2 or something. It's very early. Um, he goes by Astro in the Discord. He's one more astronaut is the thing. If you want to give him a shout out, it's that copy him. I don't know if I can do SOs, but it's that one. One more astronaut. I would recommend it. If he's still got his system running on his system, you really want to see it. But the video is in Discord,
Yeah.
and I'd recommend taking a look at that. I would have to mention Sunamods. Sunamods, he's known for writing Final Fantasy VII mods. In fact, he spent the last couple of years doing complete voice acting for every single line in Final Fantasy VII. He's released a complete mod like to do the original game, start to finish. Every single dialogue box is voice acted now. He organized a team to do it. He did all the editing, and got all that released. But on his stream, he has a feature where you can do Chocobo Hot and Cold game from, it's technically the PlayStation Pocket, but it's links into Final Fantasy 9. Effectively what it is, it's a grid of about 40 squares, and you have to send your Chocobo to different numbered squares and see if there's a treasure nearby. And it whispers back to you whether if you are like close to a treasure or not. So it says it's kind of like a hot and cold game. It'll say you're either freezing cold. It'll say que. It'll say you're kind of close to a treasure, and it'll say like que with like 2 exclamation marks. And it's like, or you're like within 1 square of the treasure, or within 2 squares of the treasure, and it'll say like que, like a really long thing. But it doesn't tell you which direction to go. It doesn't tell you like up, down, left, right, whatever. It's just that if you're within a circle, so you're playing, but you're also racing against chat because everyone else in chat can see what you've guessed. And he's got 2 different modes of it. One of them is sending the feedback to chat, and one of them it's got sending feedback to whispers. So the one that whispers is actually more even, I think, better, because then you're not giving the clues away to everybody else. But it's like he's got it. So when you find treasures, and then he's written his own inventory system, so it records how many treasures you found, like per person. And he's currently writing more games to go on top of it. So that it's going to be, you can feed the treasures to your Chocobo, and then you can enter them into Chocobo races, and then they go faster because you fed them treasures. And again, that's all built in streamerbot UI. It's not, there's no, as far as I know, there's no C# code in that. It's just monstrously long, like, game loops that is written entirely in the UI, and it's very, very polished. I Again, you'd have to kind of see it in action to get a good idea of it, but it's a very good mini game that he can run if he has to go to a bathroom break or whatever. It's because it takes like 3 minutes to do the game. Everyone's engaged in chat whilst there's nothing else happening. It's a great use of what you can do. And then if we're going to talk, if we're going to talk games, like mini games that people have built in the streams, Madcap Thulu is probably king of the hill in this regard. Madcap has 2 major games on his stream right now. One of them is a fully working slot machine that uses Vlad's point system, like the loyalty point system, just so you've got some in channel currency that isn't channel points, because you can't give out channel points yourself. And then you can, like, every 2 minutes per person, you can kind of bet on this slot machine if you want. and it's like anything from 1 to 1,024, 1, 2, 3, 4. I think it's the max coins that you can bet at any one time. And then he's written it. The only C# is for the loyalty point code to so this currency. All the rest of it is done in the UI. And he's made it so that it brings out the slot machine from the side of the screen. It runs 3 reels. It it recognizes the result from each reel, and then depending on whether it's got a match on the first 2 reels or a match on the last 2 reels or 3 matches, it gives out appropriate prizes. Each symbol has a different like gold value, so you get like 6 times this or 24 times this, depending on how many symbols you match. He's added a progressive jackpot as well, so every time someone spins it, it increases the progressive jackpot, and then eventually somebody wins it and it resets the progressive. And they get that as in-game currency, which, as I said before, you can then spend that in-game currency, that in-channel currency, buying blunderbusses, sabers, hats, rum for the inventory system, which then leads on to his other game, which is entirely in the UI, no C# whatsoever. That is that you can set sail on an adventure. You redeem a channel point. It puts a message in chat that says it says the Geocym is going on an adventure, so he's going to sail 7 seas. Press set sail to join him, and then up to 8 other players can join you. And the more players that you have, it will randomly select the boss. Yeah, you can buy weapons. Yes, it will randomly select the boss for you to all fight. The more players that you have, it gives you a chance of fighting the harder bosses. And then it 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 basically it runs. It's it's a single action that loops itself. It keeps calling itself as a tactile action and uses global variables. And I've seen these loops run anywhere from 50 loops up to about 600 loops to resolve these fights. And it does like turn-based combat. It will do like, okay, it's the boss's turn. It's going to randomly pick a player to attack, and does it hit or does it miss? If it hits, how much damage does it do? The players can say can type drink rum at any point in the fight, and they'll drink it when it's their next turn, and they'll get 5 health back. If they've got a hat on, it reduces their damage by 1 every time they're hit. If they're holding weapon, if they're not holding any weapons, it just punches the enemy and it just does 2 damage. If they're holding a weapon, they get a chance to either use the gun or the sword or punch. It's random. And then if you run out of health, your player dies and it gets yeeted off the ship. If you manage to kill the boss, everybody that survives gets a share of the treasure. So say the boss is worth like 10,000 gold total, and 5 people survive, then they each get 2,000 gold given to them for surviving the fight. It is it looks kind of basic and clunky, but that's kind of the aesthetic from his stream. He wants it to look like that. But from a technical point of view, if you ever saw the action, like how did you build this? It is literally about 70 actions or something in a row, and each action has about 30 lines in it, all in UI, and it just runs itself. Like loops round until it's done. And now he's got the framework for it. He can add in as many bosses as he wants. He's going to add in like custom music and custom effects for each boss. It's going to be like they're all going to have their own specials. It's very well fleshed out game. And the fact that he basically turned streamerbot into a game engine to make it do that. They're like, streamerbot's not even designed for that. It's not even close to what streamerbot is designed for, but he made it work anyway.
I mean, it is insane because obviously I've seen him. Obviously I know Madcap quite well, so I've seen his stuff. He's what he does in streaming, but I couldn't do.
No,
Just I mean, I consider myself quite good with streaming, but what he does in streaming, but I could not do I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. I couldn't think that way. I couldn't work out the logic. I couldn't work out the flow.
Hmm.
And before now, I'd given and said I'm going to do C sharp.
Oh yeah, you could build it so much easier in C sharp, but for that game particularly, he's taking it as a point of pride. It's like I'm going to do it this way to prove it can be done,
Yeah, and it's
and
amazing.
it's like okay, the fact that it still works is just incredible.
Yeah, it is quite funny though. Sometimes when you were watching him building, it does. Oh yeah, I've got these like 20 actions, and you're like, yeah, but you could just do that in one line of C sharp. I don't want it. It's funny, but you've got to
Yeah,
respect him for
but
it.
that's the
You've got to
point.
respect
But
him for it.
he doesn't know C sharp. He'd have to learn an entire language to do that,
Yeah,
or he'd have to ask for help. He doesn't have to do that because streamerbot allows him the platform to write what he wants to do. it, okay, it looks a bit clunky to us, but it doesn't matter. He knows that if he gets the data in the right place and puts things in the right order, he can do it, and it's just
yeah,
it just works because
it's amazing.
because the platform is robust enough to
Yeah.
handle it.
Yeah, what he's done in it is amazing, and like I say, I have top respect for him because I know I couldn't do what he'd done. I couldn't. My brain wouldn't be able to work out the logic to do it in the UI the way
Mm,
his brain's worked it out. And as you say, he doesn't know C sharp, so C sharp isn't really a backup for him, or isn't really there for him because he doesn't know it. So he's proving that doing it in the UI is possible, and it shows how. I think that shows how powerful streamerbot is as a program. That you do, it's not the coder's bot as some people like to call it, because it's
mm,
not. You don't need to know code. You can just put a few actions in the right order. You can make something absolutely amazing.
mm-hmm. Yep.
Same with that hype train one, which I do remember the video for. I do remember that video of the hype train. It is insane how clean that looks.
Mm-hmm.
And to say that's what it is what it is. And another one who's done a little bit of C sharp, but not much C sharp. If you've seen his alert packet, his loading artist, I speak about him all the time because what
Loading artist is so
if
good.
if you
He's so
see
good.
how his alerts are worked out and how how he's put these actions together, it is the most insane thing ever. It honestly
Yeah,
is. I
it
couldn't
is.
do that.
Have you seen how the back end of that works though?
Yeah, he showed it. He showed it. Often he showed it. Oh yeah, it triggers this action, and if the person's this, it triggers this action. But if it's this, it triggers this action. And if they've got spiders, it does this. And you're thinking, what? It
Yeah,
reads ini files so that
he
your drawings have got the same pattern, same outfit all the time, and you can change it. And it's like,
he taught he taught streamerbot how to use ini files, right? That's how insane that is. Is like the C sharp like streamerbot is not designed at all to handle ini files, but loading artist is using it every single day, and his UI looks incredible. And it's completely unique, as you say. Every single person that chats in his stream has their own unique avatar that's randomly generated the first time they chat, and then it's their avatar forever until they've paid channel points to change it. And the if you do like bit alerts or whatever, it dynamically changes depending on how many bits you do. And it's not like he's coded a load of different animations for different values. He's literally said like he's made it basically a game engine again. It's like if bits equals X, drop a coin, and then just drops one more coin per thing. So if someone drops like 100,000 bits, it fills his entire screen with coins. It's and he worked out how to do that. He taught himself how to do it. I don't think LA has um ever asked for help in the Discord.
no,
He just looked at it and was like, "Oh, I can work that out. I'll do that." What do you mean it doesn't do what I want it to do? Okay, I'll make it do it. I'll Google it. It's fine.
yeah,
And he's not a programmer. He's a comic book artist. He's
insane. Again, someone who's you be able to use the UI in a way that I know I couldn't, and
Mhm.
mad respect. Like honestly, just so good how they've done stuff. It's you it's hard to give it justice with words. It's one of the things that you just kind of have to see to like say, look, this is how good it actually is.
Mhm.
And I think, yeah, I mean, like I said, Mark, with when he gets his slot machine, if you get the first two right, it comes out and it has like this like hype moment,
Yeah,
this like tease hype moment, and you're thinking, that's insane how he's done that. That's just so
yeah,
good.
and like it posts to Discord when you win and stuff, and in theory, like the winning results could trigger other things as well. Like it could trigger a flashbang in his room. It could set off like a bubble machine behind him or something if he really wanted to.
It's like just insane. And these minds, like you don't have to be this big programmer to make some amazing stream button, and these people are the living proof of it.
Hmm. Yeah, you
You
just
know,
need imagination. Yeah.
yeah. But moving forward, because um, so we know how good the bot is. We know how good the bot has, how we know how much it has progressed. Where do you see the bot in? A, I mean, not really a couple of months, but like a year, 2 years. Like, what things would you like to see in the bot? Um, no, going forward, what's the future of the bot like for you?
Well, I think that we've just introduced a few new features like IFTT. Um, the if this then that integration, it's the newest addition to streamerbot. I think could potentially be huge if you've got enough imagination about it. Because now not only are you linking with things that are local to your computer and local to your network, but now you can make streamerbot trigger something anywhere in the world. Reacting to your stream, you could do like a squad stream where your streamer bot is talking via AFTT to someone else's streamer bot and make them react. Um, so you could do a lot with that. Um, I think streaming generally is probably going to involve more interaction with the real world, have it more of a interactivity rather than just basically a YouTube video that you can chat to. Um, because people like to be trolls and they like things to happen. They like to be able to move cameras around. They like to slap the streamer in the face with a robot hat, which I've seen somebody do. Literally, like he had a hat on and it had like a hand that would like whenever someone did bits, it would like spring around and smack him in the face. That was quite funny. So obviously he got a lot of bits for that because people think it's hilarious to keep doing it. I mean, I got enough just from putting the flashbang on 100 bits. I think I made like 30 quid off that. It's ridiculous, just people doing flashbang. Um, so I think that if people are going for imagination, people could use streamerbot to do some very very interesting things. They could have displays behind them that were interactive. They could have they could interact with like the home automation systems. They could turn lights on and off. They could play music, whatever else. Um, and I think that could be interesting. It's going to be very much in its infancy, and basically the only person who knows how to use it right now is Whipstick. Um, at the moment, all we think we can do is send a string of text to and from IFTT, but that string of text can be a JSON string, for example, and then the JSON string can be passed on to other applications, and then you're suddenly now passing as much data as you want, really, in actual variable pairs, and now you can decode it at the other end, and you can act on that. So that I think once people realize that that's possible, that could be quite interesting. Um, in terms of the future of the bot, what do I want to see in it? I think probably we touched on it already a little bit. Why? the- what is StreamBot's problem? And that is there's a bit of a barrier to entry, and the barrier to entry is always going to be a problem for new users. They will look. Some users will look at it like yourself and me and life, and they will say, "Oh, that's super logical. It's like, okay. I can do actions here. And what do the actions do? It does this. Okay, great. That's really easy to work with. Some of them, the first thing they'll see is, oh, that looks like Windows 95. Um, I don't want to touch it. It looks hard. It's the coder's bot. It's you've got to know how to program, and that's when people have never seen the program. Like they've heard a rumor that, oh, it's super powerful, therefore it must be complicated, and then they look at it and they think, oh, I don't really know where to start. I don't want to ask a question. I'm not even going to try. So the barrier to entry really on streamerbot is its approachability. Um, a new UI might help. I'm not saying that it's essential. Um, because there are plenty of apps that I used. I just want them to be functional. I mean, Streambot doesn't look really any different to SNAS, and SNAS is widely used by numerous streamers that want to do timers, and that's the only feature they use it for. They want to put timers in, they load up SNAS and this thing. So if you're going to put something in Streambot, maybe you add SNAS, add the functionality that SNAS has into Streambot, and that way that's one less thing for people to run. Um, but really, I think one thing where StreamBot kind of falls down a little bit is the triggers for actions. Um, you start off, you make your action. You say, I want to make this. I want to do this action, and then you define what that action does. And it's okay. It connects to OBS. It changes this text. It but makes it show this filter. Blah blah blah. Run through all the effect built. Okay, it's all built. It's built. It's running. Okay. Now, how do I make it do that thing? How do I set up a trigger for that? Um, and then you've got to go clicking through all the tabs. You want to go through the platforms tab, and then to the Twitch tab, and then to events. And then you've got to find an event and click on it, and then you add it to the thing. And oh, I've already got an event for the bits. Now I'm going to create another thing, and then okay, and actually, this is a general alert system. It just shows text on the screen. I want it to run for cheers, and I want it to run for follows, and I want it to run for things, and then it's like more clicks around, and it's just lots and lots and lots of jumping around, places where you don't necessarily know where it's going, and um, it's a little bit messy. So ideally, I mean, I would still keep that as an option. Some people will like that, and they know that they want to start with the triggers first, and it's like click here, blah blah blah, and then it's there, and it's logical for them. What I would kind of do is make it so you could maybe right click on an action, and it would have an option for triggers, and that triggers button would open up a like a another window, and that window would say it. You could have it where it's I guess all the kind of triggers in one place, but I don't really know how we'd do it, but it would open up a window, and it would show you all of the triggers that action is currently assigned to, and whether that be it's a it would have all the commands that it's linked to, it would have all of the events that it's linked to. You could easily have a cross next to each one to say, okay, remove it from that thing. And I don't want it to be on follows anymore. Just click on the cross, and it would automatically go to the relevant tab and unlink it for you. I just think from a similarly, you could say you could have a plus button next to it, say like, oh, it's running for this. I also want it for my YouTube donations. Okay, add trigger, and it's got a submenu of triggers, and then you go to YouTube, and it just adds it to the list. Having that and having the ability to do multiple actions per trigger, so you could have YouTube donations triggering 3, 4, 5 different actions at the same time. That would be really useful. I think it would remove a perceived hurdle, because it's less people for people to learn. They don't have to they don't have to learn how to make a secondary action that then orchestrates the real actions. It's just they just put it in a button and it works. Everything's in one place. You could just add triggers straight from the action that you're already on. It would be quicker to navigate around rather than having to hunt around different tabs. Um, I think if you solve for that, you're gonna keep people's attention longer.
Yeah.
The thing with Streamerbot is it's great once you start using it, and because of there's a bit of a learning curve with it. You need to be able to play with it for like an hour or so to really get into the like, okay, this can do this, this can do a lot of things. And if you lose interest before that hour, if you get frustrated with, okay, I can't work out how to find the follows button, I can't work out how to find the user banned button. I've got to click through. I've got to click 17 times to get to a tab to get to what I want to add it to this other thing, and then I've got to go back and edit the action. And you lose interest, and then you won't try the more advanced stuff.
Yeah.
So I think if you can kind of solve for that, you're going to automatically get more goodwill from the application. You get it from the community. It's going to grow fast. It's going to be easier to recommend to new people. People are not going to have to ask for help as much. So it kind of raises everything up without really any effort, as far as I can
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, I think we've spoken about this. I mean, I think we kind of touched bits about this in the live podcast, but generally anything that can make it more user friendly
Hmm.
is always going to be a plus. And one thing I said about you said with that first hour, when you first open the when you first open the bot, you're somewhat greeted with this big white canvas,
Hmm.
and it's like, what can you add there which overcomes that, which overcomes that thing of, wow, I'm being blinded by, because the bot looks like it's not the white, and it's that it's just blank. I
Mm.
remember Leo on board having a tutorial when you first open it. It showed you what each thing was. I remember that.
Mm. Yeah.
And it just like you said, because the older videos had that like big connect to Twitch button. One thing we get a lot asked a lot is, well, how do I connect to Twitch? And it's like answering all them first questions when they first open the bot. How do you do
Yeah.
that in
Yeah.
a in a in a sensible way? I think I said about having blanket actions, and we said, yeah, but we don't want to give people a lot of blanket actions because then they've got to delete them all,
Mm.
which I get. So
It would work. Yeah. If there was some sort of I don't know, like a welcome page or a quick start button that would take you to the wiki that would kind of guide you through it, that'd be nice. Um, I'd also kind of like on the channel point page, I would put a button that would open the Twitch dashboard. Um, because particularly if you're coming from another platform, you've already got some channel points that Twitch have made or Leona boards made or whatever, and then you need to go in and uh, take ownership of them with streamerbot so that we can do all the fancy things with them. Okay, yeah, you can right click on it, you can copy, but now you've got to go in and get rid of the other one, and now you've got to like open your web browser manually like a caveman, and you've got to type in your thing and go to your channel point page and delete the other one and rename the one that you've just created. Too many steps. Just right on that page, just have a button that just says Twitch dashboard, and it opens straight to the Twitch dashboard. Um, it could even be on like the actions. It doesn't have to be on the channel point page. It could be on like just the very front, like the top toolbar. Open Twitch dashboard, open YouTube dashboard, because the thing you're going to do when you start streaming, a lot of streamers have the dashboards open either for moderation tools or for looking at their analytics, for managing the stream titles and stuff. Not everyone has the same OBS setup that we have. So when you start streaming, what you're going to do, you're going to open StreamerBot, and then in StreamerBot you can have a button that says Start OBS, and it'll open OBS for you. And then there's another button that says Twitch Dashboard, and it just opens to Twitch Dashboard. It's less mouse clicks, and then you're then using like StreamerBot as like the focus for everything else. You start using streamerbot as a convenience. You streamerbot for okay. This is the first thing I do when I start streaming. I start streamerbot, and then I don't have to press anything else because everything else just click click click, and it's ready to go. Start stream.
Yeah.
And that even that by itself, even if you added no other functionality, if it was literally just shortcuts that you had on the bar, I think would be really useful. And it helps elevate the UI look as well because like at the moment, yeah, okay, you've got like 2 or 3 icons on the top of the bar in the menu, and that does help. It does help get away from the Windows 95 look. So if you've got a couple more icons up there, and it doesn't have to take up a lot of space, but even that elevates it a bit. So oh, this looks a bit nicer. Okay, the UI is a bit square, but they've thought about these features, and and therefore they're thinking about me. It's kind of they're automatically wanting to make the experience of streaming as a whole better, so you get more kind of goodwill right off the bat without really having to code anything. Um, those would be the the two changes I would make right off the bat. 'Cause they seem like kind of low effort to make a like a trigger screen and to make a like the shortcuts to the things you're going to need anyway.
Yeah.
Um, and as I say, from there you've got people interested right off the bat. It's like, oh, what does that button do? Click it. Oh, that's really cool. And then they're already hooked. You don't really need to keep them around and teach them how to make an action because they will learn that anyway.
Yeah. No one knows the go sort of thing. But you got to like get them hooked to start with. And if you
Well,
again,
yeah, if you've only got like 15 seconds to get their interest.
yeah,
I mean, I was generous and said you got to hook them within an hour. I'm like, yes, you could hook them in an hour, but then if you can get him in 15 seconds, like as I say, with Nutty, as soon as I showed him the thing, he looked at it for about a minute, played with it, and was like, "Yep, this is the cool tool. This is exactly what we need." And even if it doesn't do exactly what I want it to do right now, I know that it will. And he knew that within 60 seconds.
yeah,
So you've just got to give that same experience to other people, to new people who aren't as experienced. Um, you've got to hold their interest. You have to be like, yes, this is really going to help me, and then you've won half the battle anyway.
mm. I also think it helps. Like I said, when I looked at it first time, when you looked at it first time, we knew we'd also seen a bot like Leo on board, so we
Yeah.
knew that we we never had a bot where it would like say something like stream elements, where it's just like you enter command, you enter some text, and that's how you do your commands. That's all you can do on it, because obviously you can't control OBS with stream elements. You can't do this. There's a lot you can't do because that's how people think. You know, you enter a command, you enter some text for the command, you enter some text from output, and that's how you do commands. That's all you can do on your stream. So when I first saw it, I knew okay, I know what Leonbot can do, but I knew what this could do, and I will hook a bit sooner. So
Mhm.
it is easier to get the old Leon board and to mix it up and people into the bot because they also have that way of thinking. I do believe, and it's harder to get people who are from the more simpler bots. You know, like that are just like text replies and stuff like that. They're harder to get
Oh
people
yeah,
because
yeah. I mean, if you think about the Twitch community, I would probably estimate 1% maximum of streamers on Twitch use any sort of bot at all. Like
insane.
they wouldn't even use like a cloud-based bot because they don't necessarily know about it. They just go online with a camera and they don't have a bot. They don't have alerts. They don't have that sort of thing. It doesn't occur to them. So how do you hook those sorts of people? And it's like well, you have to have streams like this that can show off what you can do. But then you also have to explain how easy it is for them to adopt it because these sorts of people that like I said when I was doing it, I don't have 3 hours to set up my stream and to build OBS into a big nice thing and to set up the thing. So I'm already if I was new to the platform, I would already be of a mindset of I don't want things that's going to make my life harder. Yes, it's cool, but I'm not ready for that. I don't want things that are going to make it harder. So it's got to be easy right from the first. Like I click on the thing, that's easy. I
Yeah.
can do that straight away.
Yep. And you were right. I think me and the blokes will talk about where they've got the save and import buttons. You know, having a Twitch button there, so you can press on that and go straight to the Twitch tab, so you know where to log in. Where having an OBS button on there, so you can press and it goes straight to OBS.
Hmm.
And I know the connected thing in the bottom corner now is really good and really nice. So you've got a visual way of connect. But for a new user, I always thought that's what they're going to be looking for. If someone opens this bot, the first thing they're going to be looking for is how to connect to OBS and how to connect to Twitch.
Sure.
And if they're not staring in the face, then I think they're gonna. For me, that's where I see it as. If they're not staring them in the face, they're gonna be like, okay, this is a bit more complicated than I think, and then they're already doubting themselves.
Yeah, yeah. If there's a chance that people will have heard of streamerbot and then we'll go straight to the streamerbot website and they'll download it and they'll install it and they won't have seen a YouTube video on it. And then the very first thing they do is like, oh, okay, now I've got to go back to YouTube and find out how to actually install this thing. Um, yeah, the out of box experience I think could probably be improved. I'm not 100% sure on how I would do that. Um, I don't really know kind of what's possible with like a first run experience and this thing. I don't know if it detects like a blank settings file, could it show a pop up box or something that has like some bullet points? Go here, log into Twitch or YouTube. This is your first action. I don't know. I suspect that would probably be possible, but I'm not a coder. I don't know exactly how I would set that up. Um, and it might be a bit overbearing for people who are advanced users to then have that tutorial forced on you. But it's kind of a tightrope walk to walk between the two. Um, but
Yeah,
yeah, getting that out of box experience, I think would definitely improve the barrier to entry.
yeah. I mean, anything is all that can make it easier is always going to be a benefit. I think, like I say, we're all on the same page. I think we all kind of know that's what we want, but it's from them how to's. How do we do it the best way? Because we're all gonna have different ideas. It's where, and I think that was the discussion we had when we discussed it. When I was thinking about, well, you could do a tutorial, you could have blanket actions in there, you could have a pop up of that just said, "Welcome to Streambot, thank you for downloading." Blah blah blah. You know, there's a lot you could do, but which one of their ways is the best is a whole hard, more difficult question.
Yeah,
And
yeah. There's there's no golden bullet. You
no,
certainly are never going to cater to every single like uh, user type on the planet. It's always going to be, can you catch the most like the majority's people, and then everyone else will just deal with it because they're more used to those sorts of environments anyway.
yeah. Um, So apart from obviously we know the issue, is anything that you'd personally want adding in that would you think make your thing a bit easier? Because because like one thing I always like, you know, like a way to, especially now, a way to see the globals a bit easier. You know, little things like that for me would make life easier. I do cringe every time I see, you know, people say, "Oh, just open it in this DB program." It just make me cringe a little. And um,
I'm going to turn my fan off. One sec. I can just hear the wind noise in my mic.
Yeah, so like
Um,
just things like that make me you know being able to edit. And the thing is, this thing I've asked for a while. You know, being able to edit global variables stuff like that, and easier stuff like that. You know, for me, they're little quality of life things that I would like, and I don't know if everyone else would like them, but I think that
well, in terms of quality of life things, um, I think this could be tied into what I mentioned before about having a trigger screen. If you had a trigger screen, for example, and then you exported an action, you could export it with all the triggers intact. So you could say, I've built an alert for follows, and as soon as you import it into the bot, it automatically associates it to the follows trigger. that is automatically going to make things easier for new users. Um, if you're going to take that one step further than that, you could make some sort of store kind of with the extension site, but it looks like a one-click install. And then you could say, oh, I want Geocym's walk on sound thing, and you just go to it, you click on it, it will. If we had a a particular URL type or a file type or something that Windows could recognize, and it would just say, "Oh, you want to open this to streamerbot?" Yes, and it installs it straight away. You don't have to click on import. You don't have to drag the thing into the box. You just click on install on the website. In the back end, it gets all the information. I mean, you could probably even do it with WebSockets, if you had it so the extensions wiki made. I don't know. I don't. Whip would have to make up some magic to make this work. But if you could have it so that the exported action had all of the actions of everything that it needed in JSON or whatever, and then when you click on install, it sends a WebSocket command to 127.0.0.1 port 8090 with all the information. It will instantly create an action. It will instantly add it to the triggers that that person has defined. Um, it's literally one click and it's ready to go. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's and it's not even like something that other bots aren't doing, because Mix It Up has similar. So it's literally you just have an online marketplace then, and it's like I want this, click it. Um, so that one would be good, and having something that could basically like run once actions. Um, I know, like in Leon and Ward and stuff, Andy Lipp used to do it. He would release packs, um, and it would have like one of the buttons would be the install button. So you would have the deck that would run all the buttons that would do all the fancy things, but the button one would be install, and you click it, and it would go to OBS and run a one-time action that creates all of your sources and blah 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 blah. Having something similar in streamerbot would be nice, because right now to do similar you've got to you could make the install action, but then you've got to create a command to make it run, and then you got to open up your Twitch chat and make it run from there, and it can do it, but it's not great the way it installs. um so I would have some sort of way of running those, and I don't really know how that would work, whether it would be something like an import button where you could like export your install action as a base64, for example, and instead of creating an action, you have a button that just says like run install action or something. It opens up the same base64 import string, and then it just like it builds the action, runs it, and deletes it straight away, and that way you can start making installers for extensions. Because that same action could then it could create the actions that you need for ongoing use, but it could also then all the setup stuff like create all the global variables, set the global variables to X, go to OBS, create the sources, set them to the whatever properties, the things that you're only ever going to run one time, and then you can delete the action.
yeah,
That seems like super simple. For why not just make that one click then?
yeah. It does sound really good. I mean, kind of that pulling in for it's somewhat like I was thinking about that. One thing I liked about Streamlabs chatbot was they had this like you could import Python scripts and then you had
Yep.
separate pages to do all. And although yeah, I know it's no language like that, and you were very hard to customize when you wanted something else. But I think having something like that for me in Streamlabot like a proper plugin system. So you know,
Yeah.
so you say, well, get this script, plug it in, and it's all separate tab. It's nowhere near any of your actions. It's nowhere, but it's all in there, and all the settings for it are in there. And again, that could link to a store where it downloads it and it puts it into there. Then it's like somewhat like that, like the viewer list. When you click on different viewers, it shows their different data. But you could actually have the imported scripts, and you could click on a different script, and it shows all the settings for that script, and you just edit how you wanted it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
A plugin system would be very nice. If it would just kind of if it would scan the DLLs or something in the install folder, and
yeah,
then it would say, "Oh, you've got a DLL for a Python compiler," and it adds a tab for Python,
yeah,
so it's not in the base system, um, and it's not doesn't even need to necessarily be handled by Nate. All it needs is enough of a system so that Streambot knows to load that DLL, and it's got a method of communicating between all the functions of the DLL and the functions of the Streambot. It doesn't need to expose any major code. It just needs to expose the communication between the two. That would be useful because then it also opens things up to things like, oh, I don't like this speech to text engine. Um, so text this, yes, speech to text engine. I want to run my own one. I want to run this other DLL that I found somewhere else, and you can just import a whole new like voice control engine instead of having the one that's baked into it. Um, it would be cool. I think that there's probably a lot more work involved in that.
yeah, they're
Um,
definitely. I would assume so.
but as a destination, as a goal to aim for in a year's time, yeah, I'd be all for that.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's what I thought, but as I like say, Walder touched on last podcast. He says, the more features Nate adds in natively, the is the bottom become heavier and heavier and stuff like that because there's gonna be more features in there. I don't know. So like and plus the complicated stuff, like something like posting to Twitter or posting. I know we've got the IFTT thing now, which makes things a lot easier,
Hmm.
but again, any Spotify code is going to be difficult to install. It's going to require a few steps and it's going to be difficult.
Yeah,
Any Twitter code is going to be require a few steps and it's going to be difficult. But if you don't use Spotify or Twitter, then you could literally say, "Well, I don't need to import that script." But you can import a script and say, "Right now I've got a script in there and a whole tab which does all my Spotify stuff I want." And
yeah.
and that's the way I feel would be nice. But again, it's a lot of work, and I'm no under no alterations that it's not a lot of work, but it's ideas like this that make, for me, it's like big ideas and little ideas that make streamerbot grow because
Well, I mean, it opens up to like I know that dark mode is going to be like the whole dark horse of this thing. I'm like, oh, you shouldn't mention dark mode. Don't mention the war. Um, but it's kind of you could open it up to different UI DLLs. You could say, oh, you don't like the UI the UI for StreamerBot? There you go. Just put your own DLL in this place, and you can make your own. And then those that can will make new skins for it. They'll make new UIs for it, and then they can share them with the community. And then the people that want those things can get them, and the people that don't want them don't need them.
yeah,
But it seems like a fairly simple way to go if you could. Again, I'm not that good a programmer. I can't say how easy that would actually be to build.
no idea. Yeah, it's just say that my instinct tells me what the way I envision it, it's very difficult.
It could be. It could
The
be.
way, but again, it's also big. I want to say little ideas also make it like one little idea is I would love a way to put a cooldown on an actual action rather than like a command or like that. So say I have an action that triggered by a command and a channel point. I want a cooldown on that actual action so that it can't be ran too many times.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I
straight
think
on
so.
the action stuff like that. Because there's a lot of and be able to put like other things in group cooldowns and stuff like that so that X amount of commands are all in the same cooldown. Things like that. And I know there's ways around it, but just
Yeah, and that's kind of what you had in Leorin board in the first place because you could set cooldowns on the buttons, and no matter what triggered that button, you could then have it would be universal cooldown. Um, and that was that was nice because it meant that like you weren't getting spammed with stuff all the time. Um, yeah, I suppose that'd be kind of a nice, easy quality of life thing. It's like bugging me.
Yeah. One really good thing that it is handy for is heat. So if you don't want someone spamming something in heat, the clicking,
Yeah.
there's no way of really stopping that because there's no cooldown on the WebSocket, there's no cooldown on the action. You have to, I had to write a little bit of code to somewhat handle a cooldown. But yeah, that's just me. That's a small thing. Which I can't see being that difficult. But
That's a good
yeah,
idea. Good idea.
so that kind of brings us toward the end of the questions. So if anyone in chat has any more questions, if you have any questions, Gio, for me, feel free to post them all now and ask away if you do have any for me. You want to grill me about something, like why are you such a troll, or
It's fun to be a troll.
yeah,
But
it's fun. It's so
this is where
fun.
you're going to get hit with a wall of silence anyway, because
Yeah, because
people are too shy.
I
They're
know.
not going to ask you questions. I'll answer them. It doesn't even have
Yeah,
to be streamer questions. I'll still answer the questions if you want to answer the questions.
any
But
questions you want, answer all any questions. But this has been I've really enjoyed this. It's been fun, informative for me.
yeah, same here. It's
I
been a
mean,
good 2 hours. I didn't realize it was that long.
no, I didn't. I mean, I've just seen it now. I think, wow, we've gone 2 hours. Wow, that's flown by. Um, yeah. So these are. I don't know what the next one is. I have a list. Right, I write lists right for everything. The
And then
problem with
immediately forget them.
my list is I lose my lists. It's why
Right.
I've started using Gilda to like organize myself because that's got a really cool it's like Discord, but it's just got a few extra things that mean making lists are easier, so I don't have to lose them. But I think I know who it is, but I can't remember who it is. The next one.
Choose
Will
one.
that be? I said that on the last podcast. I was sure it were you, but I didn't want to say it were you if it weren't you. If that makes
You
sense.
forgot me.
Like I was sure
How
it were you. I
dare you?
was 100% sure it were you, but I just didn't. I don't know. I want 100% because if I was 100%, I should. Although I wouldn't have said it one because I like to do the teaser, but I didn't do it this one because I just manic. But yeah, these will be on YouTube. And the next one will be what's 2 weeks from now?
Um, Christmas? I don't know.
The
What month are we on then?
first, the eighth,
I don't
the
know.
8th of February is the next
It's February.
podcast,
Oh yeah.
and that is. Oh, that could be a good one. Could that? I think I know that is actually now. I'm not telling you, but I think I know it is. About
Oh,
80% sure. I know
keep
it is.
keeping secrets to me, are you? I see.
Yeah,
I see how it is.
but it's a good one. Well, it could be a good one. It could be an absolute mess. It's in a good way, though. In a good way. But yeah,
Okay.
if there's no more questions, if you've got no more questions, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see everybody next time. Remember, if you don't want to watch these along live, do follow me on Twitch, do follow me on Twitter. Links for them will be all below, and all Geo's links will be below as well. And yeah, until next time, see you all there. Bye.